What's up, Fackers? What's up, Fackers?
One
What's
more.
up, Fackers?
I
We are
like it.
back with our Fantasy and Chill 101, counting down the top 101 fantasy football players for the 2020 season. Number 82 is next on the countdown. That is wide receiver Tyler Boyd of the Cincinnati Bengals. Last year, or he is our 33rd ranked wide receiver. Last year, he was wide receiver 23. His stats for last year, he had 90 catches for 1,046 yards and 5 touchdowns. Also added 4 carries for 23 yards. He scored 183.9 fantasy points for an average of 11.5 points per game. Now let's keep in mind, though, this was all as the number one target last year. All right, AJ Green was hurt the entire 2019 season. AJ Green is expected to be back this year. I don't know if it's going to be immediately, but I've heard that he is healthy. So we'll see on that front. But if that happens, then Tyler Boyd is no longer the head guy there in Cincinnati like he was last year. The other thing in Cincinnati, we all know they're going to have a new QB. Joe Burrow was drafted number one overall. And since they have released Andy Dalton, it is 100% confirmed Joe Burrow will be starting opening day. So we'll see how that goes. Joe Burrow, who lit it up in LSU, definitely can sling the rock. And Tyler Boyd is coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. So if you're kind of like we were talking about, if you're worried about maybe he was number one last year, that's going to go down. 2 years ago, AJ Green played most of the year, and Tyler
Yeah.
Boyd was still able to get 1,000 yards. So it's possible that he will still thrive even with AJ Green there.
Yeah, and if you actually go back and look at the stats, obviously you can look at the entire year, but you can look at game by game. Tyler Boyd just performs better whenever AJ Green is on the field, and it's kind of counterintuitive because you think, oh, AJ Green's gonna be taking away targets, but I think it's that maybe
It's that he's
the
drawing attention.
the number one corner is gonna be on AJ Green then, so Tyler Boyd just gets an easier matchup. But yeah, this is a guy that I know we just talked about Michael Gallup, how much I love him. I like Tyler Boyd too. I drafted
You
both of them
drafted
last
both of
year.
them last year.
Yeah,
Now, you drafted Tyler Boyd in the sixth last year, but that was also after the AJ Green news had already happened. We knew he was going to be out. Maybe not for the whole season, but we knew he was going to be out for a while. So he definitely slid up the draft boards last year.
yeah.
I actually expect him maybe to go later than last year, a little bit later than the sixth round.
You think
I don't
so?
know though. Just like I talked about last video, there's so many wide receivers kind of in this range. So
Yeah. So right now he's going like mid fourth in a 12-team league. ADPs probably haven't caught up yet to what they're actually going to be, but so that'll be maybe around the same time, maybe sixth round again. I don't know.
that seems crazy to take this guy in the fourth round.
It's a 12-team league though, so wide
Right, but
receivers.
you're saying maximum 48 overall.
Yeah, this is mid fourth too. So
Yeah,
but
I don't know. It just seems crazy.
so this is a guy that most of I think me and you agree that we like taking running backs early, right?
Hmm.
So usually I like stockpiling my running backs early. So obviously I'm gonna have like this isn't gonna be my number one wide receiver, but I don't mind him as my number two wide receiver. This is like the perfect guy that I go for. It's a guy that gets a lot of targets, pretty dependable. He doesn't have I mean he had some pretty high games last year, but he's gonna get you, around 8 points per game, maybe 10 points per game in a PPR, and I'll take that as my wide receiver number two if I'm going to be stockpiling running backs early.
Okay, I think I'd still consider him like Michael Gallup more in that flex range. I don't know if I'd feel completely comfortable him as my number two. Let's also keep in mind though he's going into his fifth season, which I didn't even check his contract situation, but we know that the fifth year is your option year for your first contract. So he should be coming into his free agency year after this. So there might be some extra motivation to perform well. Not that you should need it. You should
Yeah,
always want to perform your best, but they always talk about it's a contract year. So
he must have signed another
that'll
contract
affect.
because he's not a free agent until 2024.
Okay, so he already signed an extension.
It looks like it. Just this quick Google search is pointing out, but
Oh, there goes that then.
I don't think that matters. Though, like this guy produced with Andy Dalton, who I think he's an underrated quarterback, but then Ryan Finley, Jeff Driscoll, like he just he performs. It's a target hog, and we always talk about these rookie quarterbacks how they want to find this one guy to depend on. They don't really have a tight end. They have Uzama, or I can't pronounce his name.
Uzoma.
Uzoma, yeah. So maybe this is the guy that he goes for. He plays a lot in the slot. He's gonna get a lot of those underneath routes that short passes, but it's gonna rack up PPR points for you.
Right. And we talked about how AJ Green should be back this year, but let's not forget that he's on the other side of 30 now, and he's one of the least durable guys in the league at
Yeah.
this point. He gets hurt almost every year. His feet are just, I think he's injured both feet at this point. So he could
He ain't got no
easily
feet.
get injured again, and Tyler Boyd could once again be the clear cut #1 guy there.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also worth mentioning that they did draft was it T Higgins in the draft,
Okay, yeah.
but I don't. Again, with like the Michael Gallup situation, I don't really put too much into rookie wide receivers getting drafted until like mid year. And I don't think it's really going to affect. I think T Higgins is more of like a insurance on if AJ Green does go down, then you
Right.
can kind of slide him in there. I don't think it really affects Boyd that much.
I agree.
But yeah, guy I love gets it. I looked up his targets. He's averaging 8.5 targets per game the past 2 years. So if you're just looking for like a good flex player, or in my situations that I usually end up in, a wide receiver too that I want a lot of targets from, I think this is a good guy to pick.
Plenty of opportunities there. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you sound so excited for
I know.
it.
So,
Obviously, Ryan's not gonna be drafting Tyler Boyd.
like I said, both of these last two guys I'm lower on than most people. So there's a lot more wide receivers that I like
Yeah.
ahead of them that will be later on in the countdown.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up, Tyler Boyd is our 33rd ranked wide receiver, number 82 overall. We out.
We out.